Hey, Noah.
Hey, Zeph.
What's going on?
Oh, not much. Just, shaving my head.
How's your bald head? That's what I was going to say. Hey,
Reflective.
What's the theme song for this episode?
No,
Actually, wait, stop. Instead of me putting in a funny song randomly without you in post, let's do an a cappella one right now.
Okay.
Okay, so you start. I'll harmonize.
Okay. I never thought that it'd be so simple, but I found a way. I found a way. Well, I never thought that it'd be so tragic, but I found a way. I found a way. If you open up your mind,
Minor 4 chord here.
it's gonna take some time.
Speaking of which, did you watch the new HBO documentary about Dan Schneider?
I did indeed.
So everybody knows about Dan Schneider if you're our age. He's the foot fetish.
Dan Holder Tighter Schneider.
Yeah, he's the creepy Nickelodeon executive that is that the rumors are never ending. So there's all sorts of rumors about him. But they usually revolve around children and feet and sexual deviancy.
Yep.
So give that a watch if you're down. Can I tell you something that annoys me about it?
Yeah.
That documentary, because I'm 2 episodes in. So I have one left, and then they're doing like a follow-up episode. I don't know. It's good so far, and it hasn't shown me a lot of stuff I didn't already know, because I haven't got to the Drake Bell stuff where that was the big thing.
Yeah.
But the stuff about Dan Schneider, I already knew. And then it was like they don't even really get into the weeds of the Dan Schneider stuff because there's no solid proof of the really, really racy stuff. It's all just like, oh, he was mean to people, or he made me uncomfortable. But like the stuff the accusations you hear about online, they don't get into that because there's no solid proof. Plus, there's probably 900 NDAs that have been signed over the years.
Yeah.
So that was disappointing. But what really annoys me is the fact that they're interviewing all these people, like directors from all that, writers from the Amanda Show, like actors from all these shows. That all makes sense. That's great. You should interview those people, producers, random people. But the person they interviewed the most, more than any cast member, more than any director, more than any producer, the person they interview the most on the show, and I think it's because I'm assuming she had something to do with making the documentary. She might be the director or whatever. Is the girl with the long fingernails and lots of makeup with the dark hair, who every time they put her on screen, they put her name up and then they introduce her as just culture writer.
Yeah.
Meaning she's a blogger. She is a blogger who knows a lot about Nickelodeon, and they interview her more than anyone. She has nothing to do with any of this. She's just another person like us that grew up on Nickelodeon in the 2000s and late 90s. And then she's, for some reason, given the microphone more than anyone. And she's just a culture writer, which means she writes for The Nerdist or something.
Yeah.
And doesn't actually have any expertise or relevant knowledge to the field other than that she watched those shows. And it really annoys me. I don't know why they keep going to her like she's really smart or important. Don't know if anybody else was bothered by that. But like,
I don't even think I noticed it.
Just talk, like I'm like, just talk to the people.
Yeah.
I don't need to talk to the culture writer.
Yeah.
Which is just fancy slang for a blogger. You write for Vulture. Just say you write for Vulture. It makes me mad. Just say you write for the AV Club. It's fine.
Yeah.
Don't call yourself a culture writer.
Okay.
You don't work for the New York Times. Maybe she does, but that's basically the Nerdist at this point.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Nickelodeon documentaries about creepy people and sexual deviancy, sexual deviancy carries us into the next topic, which is, did you see Poor Things?
I heard about it.
Do not watch it.
I was given a detailed synopsis and just a lot of explanation about what's shown on screen, what it's talked about, the gist of what the movie is. And I said, I'm good. I think I'm actually good. What I was told, the person that told it to me said it's Frankenstein discovers sex.
Okay, it's worse than that. I did not watch it. I have to say disclaimer here. I did not watch it, but I tried because I was not given the heads up that you were.
Okay.
I just knew this is a heavily nominated, highly acclaimed movie from the year.
Yeah.
It's going to be this year's The Lighthouse, and it was in all the worst ways, but worse. We did not get. Me and Caitlin tried to watch it just because we knew a basic premise of like, modern take on Frankenstein, Emma Stone, whatever. We did not know any of the details. I'm telling you right now, no one watched this movie. We did not get very far into it because of the insane level of disgusting content. But it's also just the most vile, degenerate movie I've ever seen because the premise is something that Dan Schneider would love. The premise is that a Frankenstein woman, she's the body of an adult female, but she has the brain of a toddler. And this toddler in an adult body discovers sex. And that is the creepiest premise ever. And then the whole movie is her going around and discovering this sex with all sorts of different people with a toddler brain. That's the premise. And she's actually a fetus brain, but she's developing at a rapid rate. So she's like a 5-year-old intelligence level and discovers her adult body. Anyway, there's a lot I could say and like analyze with that, but all I will say is they're all the same. Those Hollywood executives, they're all the same.
I will say though, a movie to cover the premise of necrophilia and pedophilia in the same movie is right up their alley.
It's so far up their alley, dude. It's crazy.
It's the like if the right were gonna get super upset about anything, I feel like I should have heard more about this movie from that side.
For sure. Yeah, that's something worth. Like, can we direct our attention toward that instead of getting mad about like people getting mad? What's something people have been mad about recently? That's
RFK
stupid? Jr. Yeah, his ads are hilarious.
But dude, RFK and Aaron Rodgers, can you imagine in the White House?
That's a ticket right there. Can you imagine if Aaron Rodgers like chokes in the playoffs every year and then somehow becomes the vice president? Like he's able to come in clutch when it matters most and becomes vice president.
Just FDR's the country, mass reform.
What would he do to Green Bay? The Green Bay area. What would he do to Milwaukee if Aaron Rodgers had the power, like to get revenge for the fans? You know, just turn it into a giant car park.
I think so. It's just dollar stores and
that's what it is already.
And like gas station casinos. Yeah. That's all you're getting.
Are there casinos in other states besides Oklahoma and Vegas?
There are. Yes.
Okay. Are they all tribe?
I think they're all technically on tribal land.
Okay. That's what I was curious about. Because I know when you come from Arkansas, you cross the border from Arkansas to Oklahoma, it's just immediate casinos.
And it's like that for the rest of the border. Mm-hmm. It's like if you come in from Texas.
We have a wall.
Yeah.
We have a wall.
we built a wall.
We have a defense.
Hey, y'all. We built a wall.
Anyway, that's not what I want to talk about today. We're 8 minutes in. What was I going to talk about? Let's catch up.
We were talking about Dan Schneider.
Yeah. So you watched that.
I watched it.
How was it? I got to say the quality and it's all great so far.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's really good. It's not really good. It's horrendous to listen to.
Oh, the mom of the girl who got just a guest spot on the Amanda show, and then the assistant, like I don't even know what he was, like whatever. He was like a stagehand. He was like a low level guy. Just like.
And they talked about his journal and emails, and
it makes me sick.
Oh, it's disgusting. And the further you get into it, it only gets worse. Yeah. And it's really hard to listen to, but it's super well done. It shines a light on something that there's been a lot of talk and open secret about for a really long time. So I recommend watching it. I think it's really good. The Drake Bell stuff is pretty tough to listen to. He doesn't go deep into detail, and he talks about why he won't, because it's just it's too graphic.
It's also crazy that I was telling you this off air that I've loved Drake Bell forever. Like his music, I've been a fan of him. I think he's a good songwriter, and he releases good music all the way back to his first album that he released when he was on Nickelodeon. And it's crazy. Like he keeps posting these TikToks now about like I've been singing about this for years and no one listened. And it's like he'll be posting one of his songs that I've listened to 1,000 times because I like his music. Yeah. And he's sitting there crying listening to the lyrics because they're about his abuse. I'm like, that's pretty insane. It's also crazy that open secrets are a thing in Hollywood. I mean, they're a thing in general, but the fact, like, it was the same with Harvey Weinstein. Like, after he went down, everybody was everybody knew.
Or Kevin Spacey.
Or Kevin Spacey. People were like, yeah, everybody knew. But people were just too afraid to say anything.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
There's just like that power dynamic. It just like strikes fear into everybody underneath them. It's pretty, awful.
If you had to pick, this will be a fun game. If you had to pick a celebrity, like a director, or an actor, or just anybody in Hollywood that you think is the most safe from this, because like, there's people that you're like, please not them. When the Me Too movement was happening, please not Tom Hanks. I love that guy. I do not want him to be evil too.
Yeah.
But in the back of your mind that most of them probably are, and you're just going to have to deal with it. But if you think there was somebody who was most safe, who would it be?
I really think.
Who's the most wholesome guy? Because I have an answer in my head.
Wholesome?
Like, guy who you really think it's like he's not involved in any of this. He's just vibing, doing what he loves, and he probably has no idea.
I have two answers.
Okay.
The first one that came up was Kurt Russell, just because I think he's an old guy.
A good guy.
If something were in the news, like if he were to come up in the news, it'd be like him and Goldie Hawn got into a screaming match about their divorce, whatever, something. It would be
they can't divorce because they
were never together. But
they're together. They're not
they
married.
are, but they were never legally. Yeah. But if it would be something like that, like, okay, whoop-de-doo, they were caught outside of the courthouse screaming at each other, and Kurt Russell smashed her window.
It'd be a tabloid thing.
It'd be The other person, I truly think, is not involved in any of it because he doesn't care about anything.
Yeah.
And it's Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford legitimately hates everyone.
He hates everyone. He does acting solely for money.
He literally, and I'll say this, Harrison Ford is speaking of which, we're going to do an episode soon that involves him. Moving on from Harrison Ford, you want to know my answer?
Yeah, what's your answer?
Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah.
That dude is safe.
Yeah, that's fair.
He is not involved. But all the other people that I love that are like celebrities that I truly love, they might be involved.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I'm just going to, like, Tom Hanks is one that I'm like, he's so nice and wholesome. But every now and then you hear a story of somebody on set that was like, he was so mean. Which does not mean sexually abusive. Yeah. But you just think, well, if he can hide the meanness, he can hide anything,
Yeah. So, if there's somebody mean in that industry, I don't care. Yeah. I'm like, this person has whatever. If it's an executive, if it's a producer, if it's a director, if it's a key grip, I don't care. It's like maybe they're mean. They have a multi-million-dollar project that they have to keep running. Okay.
Whoop-de-doo.
Okay. All right. I don't, whatever. If meanness is the limit for people's acceptability into the general population, okay. Dumb.
Going right along with that, this was the thing speaking of documentaries, when the Michael Jordan documentary came out during COVID, The Last Dance, and people were like, wow, I had no idea Michael Jordan was so mean. He's such a butthole. He's the worst. I didn't know this. And I had two reactions. One, I was like, well, what do you mean you didn't know that? Yeah. You can watch it. Like, he is the most intense person ever. Yeah. It's obvious. And then two, he has to be.
Yeah, he has to be.
He would not have been successful if he wasn't.
That's how they beat that playoff game against the Jazz when he had the flu.
That's his whole thing. Yeah. Like, he was the guy motivating everyone by making, like, you're not going to ride with him if you're not going to die with him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Gang. Yeah. Anyway, it's just like, but the people that were like, "Wow, he was so mean." There's like, also, he was like, that's like joining the military and being like, "My drill sergeant just doesn't care about my feelings." Like, that's not his job.
There's a big difference between meanness and intensity. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sure he was mean through his intensity, but he wants to win.
He had a goal. He wasn't mean. It wasn't personal.
Yeah, he was not like
goal oriented.
I dislike you, so I'm going to yell at you. It was, I want that third ring.
Yeah. And if I want you to do the best you can.
Yeah, and if you're not going to help me get that, then I'm going to run over you.
Yeah. But then there's also people who are like intense, but then they're not mean at all.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Like Tim Duncan is one I think of, where he was able to win 5 rings, and he was super intense and serious, but he was also like the nicest dude.
Very even keeled.
Never lost his temper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's interesting. I guess you could say the same about like directors in Hollywood, because one of the Michael Jordan types is like Stanley Kubrick, where he was just like an absolute horrible person to get the best out of people.
Yeah.
And then the other end of the spectrum is like Steven Spielberg, who's just like, let's go make a movie, gang. Or like Sam Raimi or Tarantino. Tarantino comes across as like, he's just so fun. Yeah. Like he's such a nerd, and he's not even mean to anyone. He might make you crash a car, and but that's just out of genuineness, not out of anyway.
Tarantino, you know actually who Tarantino has a lot in common with?
Wait, hold on. Is this someone I know in real life?
You don't know them personally, no.
Do you?
No, okay. They're another famous
But
person.
I know. Okay, so he has a lot in common with it. Is it another Hollywood person?
Yes.
Actor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to guess this. Quentin Tarantino has a lot in common with another Hollywood person who's an actor. They're also like happy and intense about what they do in like a way where they're obsessed with it.
I wouldn't even call it. I would just say happy.
They're just.
I wouldn't even call it intense. I wouldn't call it.
Ryan Reynolds.
No, older.
Okay, older than Ryan Reynolds. Still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Still active in their career.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Hamill.
No, probably younger.
Younger than Mark Hamill. Name something that I would know that they've been in, but that's not the most obvious thing.
Dude, I really don't know. Hot Chick with Rob Schneider.
I've never seen that movie, but I've heard it quoted to me 1,000 times.
And I can't give you any other movie, because if I give you any other movie, it's going to immediately give out the answer.
So they're in a Rob Schneider movie. Is this person a comedian?
Uh-huh. I guess technically.
They're a comedian. Are they an SNL alum?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting real close.
They're not known as being a comedian. They're being known for
Comedic actor.
Yeah.
Is it Farrell or Sandler?
It's Adam Sandler.
Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah.
I get the vibe from Tarantino that he loves movies, clearly. He's a big movie nerd, and he keeps inviting the same people over and over again. He just likes making movies, and he loves the awe of movies.
He loves the magic of Hollywood.
The magic of Hollywood, and like just the magic that it brings in every film. And he likes making it with his friends.
Mm-hmm. Great segue to what I wanted to talk about next.
Yeah.
Because you just reminded me. First of all, I rewatched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like a few nights ago, which I probably do every 3 months. Mm-hmm. It's every time I watch it, it goes up on my all-time movie ranking list. Okay. It's my favorite Tarantino movie by far, but it's also like my 30th favorite movie ever made, and it was 40 before I rewatched it again. Yeah. Anyway, I love that movie, but that's a great segue into let's talk about his 10th movie.
Yeah.
Because have you heard all the rumors and follow all that crap?
I feel like I heard rumors about it whenever it first dropped, but I couldn't tell you what it was.
All right.
I don't remember the headline.
Let me update you. So it's called The Movie Critic. They've released the title. It is called The Movie Critic.
I remember that, yeah.
And it's going to take place in the 70s, and it's about a movie critic who wrote for a dirty magazine, but he really loved movies, and he just wrote for where he could. Whatever. That's the basic premise, and we don't know anything more than that. But we know that the main character is going to be played by a more comedic-y kind of actor, and they're supposed to be overweight. And anyway, there have been insane rumors the past couple months swirling the internet, like serious rumors, that the lead role in the final Tarantino movie, because this is his 10th movie, this is the last one.
Yeah.
The lead role in the final Tarantino movie, The Movie Critic, will be played by Shane Gillis, is the rumor, which is insane. A guy that was not even famous 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then is going to be the star of the last Tarantino movie. Now, that has been going around a lot.
Yeah.
And it even got to the point where they brought it up on Joe Rogan last time Shane Gillis was on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And Shane Gillis, finally, after a long time of saying nothing, he finally denied it. He denied it on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
But he seems sus about it, so I choose to believe it still.
I don't know very many, like, comedic... like, whenever I think of comedic and overweight, like, I think of immediately Chris Farley. I think that's everybody's go-to, but he's been dead for a while.
No.
Yeah, I have bad news for you.
Yeah, I think Farley and John Candy.
It's so tough to be a fat guy with the last name Candy.
So true, King. Also, speaking of John Candy, Candy is sweet. You know what else is sweet? Sweet Talking Woman. ELO.
Oh, ELO.
They're on their last tour. But, wait, what were we just talking about?
Jeff Lynne's ELO.
No, but there was something else. I was going to say something else.
Rehashing. He has songs to write. He is wearing shades. He can't even see the people on the front row.
It wasn't about Jeff Lynne. It was like about...
NBA?
No, it was about other music. Like
I'm sorry. We had a full conversation.
with the recording pause. And then I was
yeah.
like, let's just talk about this now. Oh wait, I'm starting to remember. Did you see...
Oh, it was Neil Young.
Neil Young. Thank you. So you know how he threw a hissy fit about Joe Rogan and took his music off Spotify?
Yeah.
And so did Joni Mitchell, because she was like, hold on, I have to do my Joni Mitchell impression. That's what she sounds like. Her voice is so high. She was like, oh, that's my friend Neil Young. California. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I don't know why she did it. I just to follow Neil Young.
Yeah.
But they were mad about. They were like boomers who were scared of COVID, and then they were mad at Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
For something. And then whenever he was talking about it, like Neil Young went on. I'm blanking on his name. Curly-haired shock jock, Sirius XM. He's
Howard Stern.
Howard Stern. He went on Howard Stern. And was explaining his decision making, and he clearly didn't know what Spotify was. Like he was saying it like his assistant explained it to him, and he was like, "I don't need that. Why would they have such a terrible person on their platform? Pull my music off." And he doesn't like realize that that's where people listen to music now.
Yeah.
He's still thinking he's getting radio play.
Yeah,
and like, I don't know. I guess he just didn't realize. And then 2 years later, fast forward. They put their music back on Spotify, and Neil Young's statement was like he was basically walking back his original reasons for leaving Spotify.
Yeah,
and he tried to make it sound like the only reason he didn't even bring up Joe Rogan and all that stuff. He tried to make it sound like the reason he pulled his music from Spotify.
Sorry, Emery.
Was that the sound quality wasn't good enough. You should go read his statement. It's crazy. He's gaslighting us into thinking like, oh, it had nothing to do with Joe Rogan and COVID. I just pulled my music off because my music is too high and mighty to be on a lowly MP3 player like Spotify. It can only be in like, he's basically was saying you should only listen to it on Tidal or Deezer, like the HD streaming services where it's streaming in full HQ. But like Spotify compresses audio to save data.
Yeah.
So you don't use up 30 gigabytes a month on your phone streaming Spotify. Like obviously it's a music player. It's going to compress the audio, and the majority of people can't even notice because you're listening on car speakers or AirPods. Yeah. Or you're not listening on studio monitors, and you're going to be able to tell. And so anyway, but he made it sound like that's the reason he pulled his music, was just that he didn't want it to be sullied by people hearing it in low quality, and so he pulled it. But now he's like, well, some people can't afford anything else, so I'm going to let them the peasants listen to it on Spotify. It was the weirdest statement to read.
Here's the thing with old, rich, famous people, rich people, whatever. It's like you're getting upset at another mega billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
For why?
I don't know.
What's the purpose?
But yeah,
it's not like you have a platform to stand on. You're just some old dude with millions rolling in the bank, and guess what? You're going to turn to dust in 10 years.
Yes, yeah. From to dust you shall return. And that's a thing too. In that Howard Stern interview, Neil Young clearly just doesn't understand what's going on. Like he doesn't. And he's wearing like white Reeboks. He's like, you know what I mean? Like he's just an old guy who doesn't get it. But he has power. because he wrote a lot of good songs.
Yeah.
And then, like, I'm just imagining myself in his position, his assistant's position, or his whoever runs his affairs, and he comes and he's like, I want to take my music off Spotify, and you're like trying to explain to him that that's a bad business move, but then he doesn't get it, and then he feels like he has enough money, and then you're at what point are you like, this isn't worth it?
Yeah,
I'll just do it.
He's getting up to the age where you need two assistants, one that's like 50 years old and that's like knows how to talk to him, and then another 19-year-old that's like actually gets what's going on and gives that to the mom assistant.
You need a mom and college-age son duo that are assisting Neil Young.
They're like, hey Neil, skibbity. So when Spotify is
every ancient celebrity needs to just have their grandson and their daughter help them run things.
Yes.
Like, you just
have your kid and your grandkid just explain things.
And because sometimes old celebrities like that will get they will outsource it. They'll like hire a marketing company, like Stephen Bishop did that.
Yeah.
When he started releasing albums again, like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, I'm that guy that wrote all those movie themes and hits from the late 70s. I am going to get back into it. And because like for 30 years he had his blog, the Bistro.
Oh,
rest in peace.
Bistro,
it was so awesome,
dude.
And you could just talk to him. He just talked to fans. And then eventually at some point, I don't know if he was approached by some young LA sleazeball that was like, we can milk some more money out of you, old man, or if it was his decision to do this. But either way, some marketing firm got a hold of him, or deleted the Bistro, revamped all his websites, and he started pumping out more albums of like mediocre music, and then doing promotions constantly on Instagram, and like I don't know, it was weird. It was like not his generation type of stuff. It was like weird, and I think he's still doing that, like just very modern, like Zoomer Instagram and Facebook promotions and whatever. And then he would post a video now and then, like of his assistant would be filming him, and he's like, hi, Stephen Bishop here. He's like in his yard with his dog, and he's like, you need to go, if you like and share this, you'll be entered for a chance to win like just weird, like he doesn't know what's going on. He feels like he's being used. It's the vibe you get watching it. And I'm like, you don't need that. What you need is a grandson. You need a grandson to just help you stay relevant if that's what you want to do.
I miss old school Bistro where he would just post videos of him like showing his chihuahua, and he's like, all right, spin around, okay, spin around. You don't get the treat if you don't spin around.
He's such a grandpa.
And then you would so I posted a question because he was supposedly had a relationship with Carrie Fisher.
Yes.
And I was like,
some of his songs are about Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, some of his songs are about Carrie Fisher. And I was like, I want to know more about that. And then he responded to it.
He was like, he was open.
Yeah, he was like, me
she was the love of my life.
She was, she was like, she was an absolute joy to be around, and I miss her. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
But then he also married Karen Allen. Marion from Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So he has a thing for George Lucas ladies.
Yeah. I wonder if him and George are close.
I hope so.
Do you remember that video?
You think he sings some parodies? Han and Han. We just...
That's bad.
Wait, hold on. I gotta think of another one. Save it for... oh, gosh. This is a failure. Everybody needs...
I was trying to do that
Yoda. Anyway, go ahead.
I don't even know where I was going with that.
Sorry. I hope he's... But Karen Allen and him got a divorce, and then his third album is all about it, and it's a very angry album.
Yeah.
But I asked... Go ahead.
Last, third quarter life crisis.
Yeah.
You get divorced from your wife of however many years, and what else are you gonna do?
Carrie Fisher was also with Paul Simon for a while, so she has a thing for singer-songwriters. So all these people have types that are very specific in Hollywood. But Stephen Bishop was so cute on the Bistro because he's just an old man with his little lisp. He's just like, I write songs. I asked a question on there once about what his favorite guitar that he ever played was, and he responded to me. I still remember it. It was a Martin. I wrote it down somewhere. It was a Martin. I don't know. It was his first Martin, which, of course, I was just glad he didn't say Taylor, because Taylor is the other big brand of fancy guitars, and I don't like Taylors. I like Martins a lot.
I think Martins are just kind of like the standard for like high quality guitars. Taylors are like the runner up. They're like, we can do it too. Yeah. But I think they focus more on like performance. Like it plugs up. It sounds like really crisp and modern. It doesn't have like a more rounded feel to it,
which I don't like.
Yeah.
And I also just don't like the way they feel. Like, I love Martins, but if I can't play a Martin and I have like other options, I'd rather go a tier below Taylor. Like, I like Seagulls better than Taylors. But that's just me. None of our audience is going to care about any of this.
Yeah, honestly, you know what? It's one of those underrated guitar brand. I say underrated to the mass populace. For anybody that's like really into guitar, they're like, yeah, for sure. Of course. Like, yeah, that's like a great pick. Is Guild. Guild is one of those guitars that I'm like, I played a little bit from like a couple of Guilds. I really liked him, but I'm also like, it was out of my price range. And that's the only reason. But it's one of those ones that's like, it feels almost like a boutique brand. It's like, it's expensive. It's really high quality, but doesn't have the same market capture.
Yeah. You know, it's even a step below that, where they make some really good guitars, but you feel embarrassed almost to say that you like it because it's like not a high quality brand.
Epiphone.
No. Oh. I was going to say there's two that I'm thinking of that are in the same category. They're not low tier, but they're very mid.
Yeah.
But they make some guitars that you're like, that's a freaking nice feeling guitar.
Yeah.
And that's Takamine.
Yeah.
And Breedlove.
Yeah.
They make some great guitars, but they're like lower end than even like a Seagull. But they can really get up there with their quality.
They can hold their own. And I went Epiphone, I think, for the electric end. It's like one of those.
Yeah, I'm thinking acoustic.
Epiphone is owned by Gibson, so it's kind of comes across as like the Squire of Gibson, like the cheaper little brother. Like it's for beginners, but no, it's cheaper. That's it. That's the only thing. It's still really high quality. They still play really well. They've got like a lot of really good things on their lineup. All that being said, I think what Drake Bell had to say was really important, and I think you guys should all go give it a listen.
And full disclosure, I have not watched all of it yet, so I can't give a full review. I just know what I've seen so far is good, except that I wish the culture writer would stop talking because I don't care.
There we go.
And then I know we talked about a lot of other things, but I have a more focused idea for next week's episode.
Okay.
So I want to do that. I will say this. I have a question, and I need to know, what in the double heck are we going to name this episode? What was the central point? What did we talk about? Not qualified to. I can't think of a single thing that dominated the other aspects of the conversation. So we talked about guitars and Neil Young and Spotify as much as we talked about Nickelodeon and Poor Things. So I don't know.
I forgot we talked about Poor Things.
Yeah. Don't watch Poor Things. I gave it a 0.5 star, which is the lowest I could give it on Letterboxd.
Unrelated to Poor Things, but I guess not completely unrelated. Something I have been dying to watch, I just have not had the time, is The Curse.
Oh, me too. Because I love Nathan Fielder.
Dying to watch The Curse.
Love Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone, despite Poor Things. And I really want to watch it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll watch that and get back to you guys.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
In the meantime, you should call 918-268-6337. That's 918-268-6337. Leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on the show. Also, leave us a 5-star review, and we'll give you a kiss on the lips with tongue.
You got that, Zachariah? You got that, Preston?
Travis, you want a kiss? There you go.
Paul Martin.
Who else?
Come here, buddy.
Who else can we call out? The thing is, I'm thinking of a lot of people that I know at one time were weekly listeners.
Yeah.
And then we got inconsistent with posting, and I know they don't listen anymore. So calling them out would be...
It didn't help with me moving away more than once.
Yeah. That's fair enough. That's why who's hosting each episode is just a random. You tune into this podcast, and you don't know who you're going to get.
Yeah.
And not only like it could be you, it could be Noah, but there's an equal chance it could be Colin or Zachariah or my dad.
Yeah.
Like it could be anybody. We should just keep branching out. Just have random people on.
Just call somebody. If you have somebody that wants to be on the show, call
918-268-6337.
And we'll have them on the show.
Yeah, they don't even have to leave a voice. Just call and leave your name and number, and we won't even ask what you want to talk about. We will just bring you on the show.
Yeah.
That's actually a high promise. I'm probably not going to do that.
No.
But there's a chance if you're interesting enough. We also have lots of listeners who are not people we know. At one point, quite a few. I think they've dwindled a bit, but just because of algorithms.
Yeah.
You get, if you're inconsistent with when you post, you get less. But at one point, we had a lot of listeners from around the world, and we still have quite a handful. So if you're one of those, I still would love to hear from you. Please call in to the number listed before, or send us an email at notqualifiedtv@gmail.com.
Yeah. Additional charges may apply.
Yeah, just email charge.
Yeah.
So, on a scale of 1 to 100, 1 being the best thing you've ever watched, 100 being the worst, where would you put Quiet on Set, the Dark Side of Kids TV documentary?
I'd put it at 39.
Fair enough.
It was high. It was very high quality. It was very informative. And I was anxious to watch it, and I was anxious to watch the next episode consistently.
Yep.
I don't plan to watch it anytime soon again.
Fair enough. Why would you?
Yeah.
There are some documentaries that are rewatchable. Like Grizzly Man.
It's just so bleak and so grim.
Yeah. I think the most rewatchable documentary is probably The Office. Waiting for Guffman.
Yeah. Or
Blair Witch Project.
Or Preston Patrick, bathroom camera number 3.